Hey everybody! Well, this is the third and final robot from the Batteries Not Included movie, the 1987 film by Steven Spielberg. These are the little robots that we saw in the movie. I already built Weems. I actually did two of those guys, but the second version of Weems was the better one. And then I also built Flotsam, and now this is Jetsom. So I actually got all three of these kits from the same people. Andy Valentine on Etsy. He's the one that has the files for these. So if you want to 3D print your own, you can just go to look up Andy Valentine on Etsy, and he will send you the files. I think he sells them for about $25. And then I had them printed, since I don't have a printer, by a gentleman named Jacob. I'll put his information in the description below as well. But he printed up all three of these guys. Now this is the last one to do from the three. This is Jetsom, and once again, fantastic parts. These parts are just amazing. Look how well these are printed. You can see all the detail on Flotsam's head here. The little antennas are all already printed in place. These are very fragile. You've got to be really careful with these. But you can see how good this looks. This looks really good. This is the little hood section that goes underneath here. And you can kind of see how the bottom of this looks. This is just going to go right in here. It fits in that little ring, and they just kind of snap in place so that these little details show on the outside right there. And then this is the bottom of Jetsom. And that's just the inside. This is the other side. Look how nice this looks. This is really, really well done. Now, I think these are really accurate. I'm assuming that the original Weems and Flotsam and Jetsom were all scanned in order to get such accurate detail on these guys, because they look really good. These antennas are also printed in place, so you're going to have to be really careful with those, with the really thin areas like that. And then this is the little piece that goes on the top of his head. See that little triangle? That's where that fits in. It just goes on top like that. These are his legs. I'm assuming, maybe Jetsom is a girl robot. I don't know, because look, it looks like there's some high heels going on right here. So is Jetsom a girl robot? I don't know. Because also I've noticed that there's like these little earring kind of things right here. So I don't know. I don't think it was ever established in the movie. And these are his or her eyes. Now, just like Flotsam, I'm not going to light up Jetsom's eyes. I did light up Weems' eyes. Weems is my favorite of the three, and I had to kind of go all out with him. But these guys, they were kind of secondary, and I really wasn't even expecting to get these guys when I ordered Weems. It was kind of a bonus to get these two, so I'm just gonna paint them. That's all I'm gonna do. So Jetsom here, just like Flotsam, the paint job is pretty simple. Flotsam is mostly copper. Pretty much all of this is copper, and there's a little bit of gold highlights here and there on there, and I think there's a little bit of silver on the feet too, I think. So there's only like a copper, gold, and silver. I think that's it. There's only like three colors. Very easy to do, and I'll just paint the eye, the middle of the eye, whatever color Flotsam's eyes were. I don't really remember. I'll have to go back and watch the movie. So this is going to be a relatively simple kit to do. I just got to do some cleanup on it. They're, a little bit rough where the edges are, because that's where the connector points were, the supports were. So you just got to sand that off. This is really easy stuff to sand. And really that's it. It's going to be a relatively easy kit to put together. So, all right. And then I'm going to also put a primer on here too. So we'll go ahead and get started with that now. Okay, so I've started some work on Jetsom here. Went ahead and sanded off all the rough spots, gave her a couple of coats of primer, and then we got this really nice copper going on. Now Jetsom, she is mostly, I'm calling her a she. I think Jetsom is a she, judging by the high heels and these little earrings. I'm guessing she was supposed to be a girl robot, that's my guess. But she is mostly copper. Now, as I mentioned in the Flotsam video, I'm using this Tamiya spray paint. As you can see, the results are very nice. But they don't call it copper, they call it metallic orange, and it's TS92 if you want to use this paint. Don't get the one that starts with a P, because that it's not meant for plastic models. The guy at the hobby shop told me not to use that and to use this one instead. And so if you're looking for copper, they call it metallic orange. They also make a bottle copper, which I'll use for probably touch-ups or something. I'm assuming that the shade is the same. I guess I'll find out. Now, she's got, Jetsom mostly has these raised details, and all of these are just silver. So you're just going to paint all of those silver. I think I might see if I can use that Sharpie silver marker for that, because it's just a lot easier than trying to paint those. She has a little bit of gold on her. I think this part here is gold, this one here is gold, and this one on the end, and then also this whole section here is gold. And she also has a little bit of gold on her foot. There's gold and silver down here. Now this foot isn't exactly accurate. I thought it was, but there's some missing details right in here. I think there's supposed to be some rings in there, so that's not included in this, but it does have that nice little pipe work that we can see if I can focus. See that little pipe kind of thing? That's really good. So yeah, just a little bit of work there. The bottom of her, there's not a whole lot of pictures. Well, there's not a lot of pictures of Jetsom in general that I could find, but the bottom is definitely a bit of a mystery. I'm guessing all of these raised details are silver, just like the rest of her, and then those little tube things are gold. The antennas are silver, her little antennas on the side, and her tail has got a little bit of gold and silver on it with copper as well. So I'm just going to have to do some guesswork on here and just probably put a little bit of gold and silver on there to kind of go with the rest of it. Now this piece here is not quite accurate either. If you look on the bottom here, it's got this triangular shape thing. Now I sanded that down a little bit to try to make it fit on there a little bit better. Now let me see if I can put this on. See if I can fit this on here. See, the problem with this piece is that it doesn't fit. See, I may not have that on all the way. It's kind of hard to see it. Okay, there we go. So see how it has this bit of a gap right there? So it has kind of a sharper curve to it than the actual Jetsom's piece right here. If you look at one of the actual Jetsoms that was used in the movie, it's more of a gentler slope down this way. It's not this real sharp curve. So there's a bit of a gap here, but I'm not, I'm fine with it. It's not that big of a deal. If I push this down any further or sand that thing off, it's going to make this hang over too far, and it's going to get into her eyes, and it's not going to look right. And then if I shave off any of this end, that's not going to look right either, because now you're going to be taking away some of that detail. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is, because, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. I don't think most people would know the difference anyway. And then on the inside here, I went ahead and glued that inner section in there already. Just lined it up so that those are showing. But yeah, getting quite a bit of work done on here. So she's got a very simple paint job, so this one won't take as long as the other two. So I guess I'll go ahead and... Oh, I forgot to mention the eyes. Her eyes are all these outer sections for the eyelid. That's all gold. And then I think for the eye part itself, I'm just going to paint that yellow. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm not lighting up the eyes like I did for Weems. Just because, as I mentioned, Weems is my all-time, he's my favorite of the group. So I'm just kind of going basic with Flotsam and Jetsom here. Alright, I think that's everything. So I guess I'll continue on with the painting now. Alright, so it's 2 days later now. I've been working on this thing for 2 days. The paint scheme on these guys, Flotsam, Jetsom, and Weems, is very interesting when you actually kind of look at the way they painted them. And it's just kind of cool, actually. I really like it. But this paint scheme here for Jetsom is pretty nifty. I really like it. We got this silver highlights going on all these raised areas, and there's quite a few of those. And then you have a little bit of the gold sections in there. There's just enough gold, to kind of, I don't know, set off the copper, which is really neat. You got these silver bits here. Here's the little antennas. These are really fragile. Thank goodness I didn't break these. Well, I'm not done yet, but hopefully I don't break them. A little bit of silver in between there. These little rings, which these are the rings I was talking about that should have been on the legs over here, but interestingly they didn't put those on there. But I just highlighted those. So the silver marker really came in handy for those silver highlights because, it's really kind of crazy. I had to do a touch-up right there, but I think once I put a semi-gloss on here, that should blend in, and there's a little bit of a spot right there, but that's going to get covered. So I had the silver marker blow up on me. You should have seen the mess it made. I mean, here's some remnants of it right here. It was horrible. I don't know how it did it, but it did. Here's the bottom. There was a lot more painting on this than I expected as well. Now, as I mentioned, there's not a lot of pictures of Jetsom, and especially the bottom of her. You can kind of see this much of the bottom in one photo, so I could see how there was this gold kind of intermixed between the copper like that. And that was good, and then also the color of this front thing right here. And but, there's not much as far as this other section, so I just kind of went with the rest of it, like these raised areas being silver, and then her little earrings were gold. I saw that, and so was that little ball thing that they're attached to. Now this thing here, you notice that little metal wire that's going in between those two tubes? That wasn't part of this kit. In one of the pictures of Jetsom, I noticed that she has kind of like, it almost looks like a nose ring. It's really funny. And so I thought I'd go ahead and do that. So I found some wire that I had from a previous project, and I just cut it and bent it and kind of pushed it in between those tubes to make it look like that little nose ring that that Jetsom has. So I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of a nice little detail that was on her. So there's her tail. There's the little hood piece. Not much to do on that, thankfully. We just have the silver bits and the gold. Here's the eyes. I just went ahead and painted them gold with some yellow. I gotta say, this yellow paint, I'm not a fan of it. They were out of yellow Tamiya paint, so I ended up using this brand over here. Let me show you what it looks like. This is it right here, Mr. Color, and it's kind of clumpy. And I don't know, I wasn't very impressed with this, but it was the only yellow they had, so I went ahead and used it. But you can kind of see it's smoothing out a little bit better the more that it dries. And I had to put about 3 or 4 layers of it on there to make that really kind of look right. But there's both of those. Here's the legs. They're both done the same way. We have this really nice gold that's kind of intermingling between the copper right there. That's actually how her foot looks. And then you got that gold ball joint with the silver kind of around the edge right there. Her high heels. And then I just made that gold since these legs aren't exactly accurate. I'm kind of surprised that they're not. And then over here is where those rings should have been, but they're not there. That is silver on these parts. I went ahead and painted that silver, and that's supposed to be gold as well. And then I just made a gold little bit here. So yeah, so these look pretty decent. All right, well, anyway, there was a lot of painting on here, but it turned out really nice. So now I can just start putting her together. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also have this. Now, if you watched my Flotsam video, I found these little plaques or something that I had from a previous project, and I went ahead and made a stand for Flotsam. And while I was making that one, I went ahead and made this one too. So this is actually just a wood thing that I found at Hobby Lobby. You can get a pack of 4 of these, I think. They're really cheap, like $3 or something like that. And they're pre-cut, but you do have to sand them because they're kind of rough. So I just sanded it down, put a primer coat on here, sprayed this edge silver right here, and then masked it off. And you can kind of see I touched it up with a different type of silver right there. But masked this off and then painted the rest of it black, and it just makes a really nice stand. And so I'll just scrape off the paint where the legs are going to be attached. I'm just going to super glue her to there. And then I already scratched the paint off the bottom of her feet so that they'll stick better with a little bit of super glue right there. All right, so I'm going to put her all together and put her on the stand, and we should be able to see what she looks like when she's all done. And here she is now. Jetsom is all finished, and this turned out really nice. I really love it. Those metallic paints really help a lot. Now you'll notice the chrome areas. I originally used that silver Sharpie marker, and you know what? I just wasn't satisfied with it. It wasn't very shiny, and it really made all of those look gray. Now you can see how shiny those are. See how they're like a chrome finish? And I even did it on her leg details. I'll get a close-up of her here in just a minute so you can kind of see all of this. So I bought the same kind of paint pens that I bought for Flotsam when I did Flotsam's copper details on there. Well, I just bought these ones. These are chrome. So it's by this brand. I don't know how to pronounce it. But they give you 3 different ones in this one. There's like a medium, a wide, and a fine tip. And these are really nice. You can see the results here are excellent. So yeah, she turned out really good. So I don't know. These robots have such cool designs on them. Now I will say that Jetsom here is probably my least favorite of the 3, and I don't know why. I think what bothers me is this thing up here, this little hood-like thing. It's almost like it gives her bangs or something. I don't know, were bangs in style back in 1987? I don't remember. I mainly remember the flock of seagull hairdos, but she kind of reminds me of Velma from Scooby-Doo. Doesn't she look like Velma? I don't know. Anyway, it just kind of makes me laugh. But she turned out really good. I did glue her to this platform here to make it nice and sturdy, and I'll go ahead and show you some close-ups, and then you can kind of check out all the details. So earlier I mentioned how that nose ring section was gold, but it's not. It's actually copper, and it's actually gold leading up to it underneath, so I had to repaint that. But now you can really see how this chrome really, see how nice and shiny that is? Let me get it in the light just right. It's almost like a complete mirror effect. You can really see how good all of that looks. Way better than that Sharpie marker that I was using. So I would highly recommend those paint pens because it's really, it would be hard to paint those by brush. I also redid her antennas here in that chrome paint and also her tail. Here's all this detail up here. I also redid those antennas right there, the little ball kind of parts. Anything that I had originally painted with those with the marker. There's that one. Here's the other side of her right here. And then I redid these parts on her legs. See how nice and chrome that is right now? And then she's even got these little ball joint looking things on her ankles. Yeah, she's really cool. Love all the details on her. These are great files that Andy made. I mean, they are really well done, and Jacob really did a great job printing these. He said he used the finer setting to try to minimize the print lines. So, I suppose if you want, you can treat this with some kind of primer filler or something like that. Filler primer, I should say. I don't know. I didn't want to sand anything just like the other two because I didn't want to lose any of this detail. So it's up to you how far you want to carry this. I'm not an expert at some of this stuff, and I don't want to ruin these because this is the first chance I've got these robots, these characters from the movie that are accurate and not those really horrible resin kits. Here, I'll show you what she looks like on the bottom here. I redid all of that in the nice chrome as well. So like I said, I kind of did a little bit of artistic license on here because there's not a whole lot of great photos of the bottom of Jetsom here, but it probably looks pretty close to this, I'm guessing. But yeah, very, very cool. Now, if you want to light up the eyes on Jetsom and Flotsam as well, just ask Jacob to make these in clear. He can make the eyepieces in clear. He'll be more than happy to do that. That's what he did for me for Weems. And then you can put some lights in behind there to light up the eyes. So he can do that for you if you'd like. But I didn't go all out with these guys for the eyes, but I don't know. I just think these guys are so cool. Yeah, this turned out much better than I thought. Her metallic color scheme is really just beautiful. I mean, it really looks great. There's probably some weathering you can do on this. It's hard to see in the movie because the movie, a lot of times when you see the robots, it's kind of a dark scene. And I think Weems had some weathering on him, and I'm assuming these guys did too. But some of that might be due to the fact that those little models are, 30 some years old now, however old that movie is, about 35 years ago. So some of that dirt and grime might be just from, that the dirt and grime they collected over the years from whoever had ownership of them at the time. But this is really cool. All right, so let me get all three of them together, and then you can see what they all look like together. And here they are all together now. The family is complete. This is so cool. I don't know why a model company has not made official kits of these guys. Probably because, I don't know, the movie is from 1987, and it was one of those movies that kind of fell through the cracks. And it's a shame because it's such a good movie. It has Jessica Tandy and Hume Crone in it, which, they both are amazing actors. And they were actually a real-life couple, which is really cool. And it's just a fantastic movie. There's that emotional scene at the end where Harry, the maintenance guy, I accidentally called Harry George in the video I did for Weems here, but he really has a fondness for Weems, and I do too. Weems is my favorite. He is so cute. He was kind of the runt of the litter. He was stillborn originally, and then Harry brings him to life. But in the whole movie, Harry keeps trying to replace these tiles on the floor, and at the very end, there's that emotional scene where Weems is trying to help him by putting those tiles, and he's holding the tiles in his mouth, and it's just a really cute scene with the music. And then of course the ending is just amazing where all those robots come together and the music builds up, and it's just a really cool movie. And it's just one of those movies that flew under the radar, and I wish more people have seen it. But it's the people that have seen it, they love it, and they know who these characters are, and it's just a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Now I do have Weems' eyes turned on, but you can't see them because these lights are so bright. Let me turn this down. See, there he is. Now you can see his eyes are on. So I did go all out and put lights in Weems. And as I mentioned, If you let Jacob know, he'll print the eyes for these guys in clear, and you can put lighting in between, in behind their eyes as well. But you know, I only had a lighting kit for Weems, but and plus he's my favorite, so I wanted to make him light up like that. But this is really cool. I love these guys. They are so cool. If you want these guys, I'll put the links in the description for Andy Valentine's Etsy page. You can hit him up for the files, and then if you don't have a printer like I don't, then hit up Jacob. I'll put his information too, and he can print these up for you. And I think Jacob is, I think you can contact him on his Instagram, and I think he said he's on Discord as well, but I'll put the link for that down there. But he's a really nice guy. Both of them are fantastic, and this is great. These guys are so cool. So I think Andy is making the mother and father, which is really awesome. And so I'm going to try to get the mother and father as well, and then I can have the entire family. That's going to be awesome. I guess the father's name was Kilowatt, which I didn't know, and I think the mother's name was Carmen. I didn't know that either, so I didn't know. You only hear about these three. So cool. All right, well, anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this little series of building these three, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'd very much appreciate it. And until the next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. So have a good one.